friends, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I felt called to come on and do another reading with this deck, and I'm hearing, what is it that you need to hear about your current love situation? And as soon as I started channeling the energy for this reading, I'm like, I feel like I'm on fire. So I'm getting Phoenix energy. That could be, and now I'm getting anxiety. So I feel like this reading is about a dynamic that you're in that possibly you've been burned one too many times, or there's a need to transition out of it. Maybe you're scared to. I'm hearing lack of boundaries. Maybe you're afraid to put up boundaries with whoever this is. Let's just jump right in. Let's just jump right in. We have counseling. So it's possible that the dynamic that you're in, or that it, I'm having a really hard time communicating. It's possible that the dynamic that you're in, or that it, the dynamic that you were in maybe stirred up a lot of wounds. Like, I don't understand what's happening with my speech right now. There's like, I'm having a really difficult time communicating, getting the words out, and I'm hearing lack of boundaries, blocked throat chakra. And this feels kind of like an urgent message. Like it was like someone needs to hear this message. Anyway, maybe you're currently in counseling, or there's a need to look at these wounds that I'm picking up on. But I'm going to leave it to Spirit, and I'm going to get 3 cards to explain what you're dealing with right now. Laughter. Maybe you've forgotten how to laugh, right? Maybe it's been a while since you laughed. Oh, I knew there was a card flipped over. Humility. All right. That energy of burning and anxiety still with me. Yeah, counseling. Gamble. Defense mechanism. Yeah. Okay. Kind of confirms what I'm feeling here. So this feels like the energy of a dynamic that you're in. Maybe you want to help heal this person. You know, this is a love reading, but this could be about a friendship, a family member, whatever. And it feels like you're dealing with someone with a very strong emotional armor, a strong defense mechanism, right? Where I'm actually just going to get these cards because it's basically the energy that I was, yeah, anxiety, crisis, like blocking happiness. So it's very intense energy that I'm picking up on here. So it feels to me like you are dealing with someone where you are hitting a brick wall. And again, this could have happened in your past. Like you could click on this and think, oh my gosh, stop it. You could click on this and think, that sounds exactly what happened to me years ago or in my past. So with this gamble card, the the first energy that I'm getting is that you could be dealing with someone who holds their cards very close to their chest, or you feel like you have to be silent, right? Because I'm picking up on all of this like blocked communication or fear of communication, fear of putting up boundaries. So, I'm getting this energy where you could be very afraid to say anything. Like you could feel like you're walking on eggshells. And I feel like there's a lot of unhealed energy here with the counseling card. The dynamic that you're in right now, it it may have caused like emotional damage to you, where maybe you are thinking about counseling. Maybe you want to tell the person you're connected to or disconnected from that you think counseling would benefit them. We have this defense mechanism. So, very strong emotional armor, which means I don't think either one of you are being vulnerable. It's like both of your shields are up or your emotional armor is on. And it could be that, you know, I feel like you could be triggering. There goes my words again. Snowplow. I feel like when you try to communicate with this person, it's like you're hitting a brick wall, that they're very defensive, that they're protecting their wounds. Defensiveness, that's where defensiveness comes from. When someone has unhealed wounds and those wounds are triggered, they become highly defensive, highly argumentative, right? So you could even be feeling like you're taking a risk in even speaking. Like that's kind of what I'm getting from this energy. Maybe you have a fear of putting up boundaries. Maybe you did put up boundaries and you got the defensiveness, right? That gamble, it feels like, I'm going to be honest, it feels like you're risking your own mental health. And then on the bottom, it's your time. So this card, it feels like it's your time to speak up. And for some reason, this card is giving me Eight of Cups energy. And we have anger management. So it almost feels like, again, either you're dealing with a very defensive person, which, again, unhealed, or you and this person are triggering each other, and there's a lot of like arguing going on, or butting heads, or conflict, crisis, right? Causing anxiety. And you may not even be like I said, it's either you're both in defense mode, in protection mode, or this person is, and it's causing you anxiety, and you keep getting burned and you need to phoenix out of it. It's your time. It's your time to phoenix, is what I'm getting. Even though the thought of phoenixing might scare you, right? Or you could, like I said, fear of rejection, fear of putting up boundaries. It's really intense. And like I was hearing SOS, SOS, Sending out an SOS, that song. And I almost feel like you're gambling with your mental health here, and that the person you're connected to could really benefit with counseling, and it's not your job to be their therapist, right? You could even benefit from counseling from what you're experiencing within this connection. I want more cards though, Spirit. Like silence is just coming over me. So you could feel silenced in this connection, or afraid to speak your truth or stand up for yourself. It felt like a very urgent message. I'm fine. See, I'm laughing. Some people, they worry about me when I do these readings. I'm fine. I was like lit up like a lightning bug before I started this reading. This is intense energy. It's also, it's heavy. Just the silence that I'm experiencing is interesting. Let's get two more. I just love this deck. Let's get two more. It just feels like this is your time to focus on your path. And to choose yourself. Let's get two more. You know, last night I was sitting outside underneath the moon, and I was kind of getting this energy that a feminine needed to hear a message. And then today the urgency came over me. So I feel like I'm talking to somebody who feels like they're on the counterpart the counterpart journey. I feel like you're in this dynamic right now. Divine feminine. So, yeah, I'm shaking. See? Very intense energy. So, let's say you're a divine feminine dealing with a counterpart. You could have that energy where it's triggering a fear of abandonment within you, or a codependency within you, a fear of putting up boundaries with this person because they're your counterpart and you feel so strongly about them, right? And that is one of the lessons of the divine feminine, is to step out of this cycle, right? Maybe you're stuck in a cycle with this person, that it's your time with all the clocks. Maybe this is a repetitive cycle. The only way to stop a cycle is to remove yourself from it. You can try and convince that person about the cycle, but if they've got their armor up, it's almost like your voice isn't heard, right? So again, very specific reading for a divine feminine in a situation where you're meant to evolve out of it. And this doesn't mean forgetting about it, denying it, never letting this person back in your life again. This energy is about choosing you over the wounded version of you, right? So, a wounded feminine, a divine feminine who's not yet in that divine energy would have a problem putting up boundaries, would accept defensiveness, right? Wounded masculine energy, very aggressive, very defensive. So even if you feel like you're on the counterpart journey, if you are if the person you're connected to has this very intense defense mechanism, like this shield, right? Gets very defensive, gets aggressive. And you as the feminine, not talking about gender, continue to give to that energy. That is like wounded feminine and wounded masculine energy trying to come together. Doesn't work. You clash, right? You repel each other. Doesn't matter how much you want it. It doesn't matter how patient you are. It doesn't matter what you overlook. If you continue to give to it, actually, right before I started this reading, these magnets got stuck to me. So they're in wounded masculine, you're in wounded feminine, which means you're, maybe overlooking some of the bad things that are going on. What happens is you're repelling each other. So it doesn't matter how much you want it. It doesn't matter how patient you are. It doesn't matter how much you try to not trigger that defense mechanism. It doesn't matter how many eggshells you walk on. The two of you are gonna energetically, there's friction. It just, you can't come together when you're both in wounded energy. The only way to stop this is to turn your attention inward. Flip your magnet around. Choose yourself. And then it causes a change in the frequency. It kind of feels like, I'm getting a really weird example. It's like the horse where someone ties a carrot to lead them. It's basically like a carrot is being dangled in front of you, and it doesn't matter how fast you run towards that carrot, how you change your approach to that carrot is always gonna be out of your reach. I'm making sense for the right person. It's also, showing me that this person feels triggered by your energy. And I mean in a way they probably can't explain. Feminine energy, very nurturing, very giving. Are you afraid to speak? Are you afraid to trigger this person? Are you afraid to bring things up with this person? Are you afraid to set boundaries? Right? Like, that's what I'm picking up on. And like, when am I ever this silent? And this is happening right now. It's like you're gambling with your emotional health is what I'm hearing. And you know, what I'm seeing with this counseling card is that the issues that are being, or the wounds that are being triggered here, it's it takes more than love. Like the triggers that I'm seeing here need like actual counseling or work towards those woundings. That just loving each other isn't enough. Maybe you told this person they should go to therapy. I don't know. Inner strength. So your inner strength is being tested right now. And in order to step into that feminine energy, it takes inner strength. In order to go to counseling or to look at your shadows, to heal them, it takes inner strength. And a lot of people are afraid of looking at their shadows. So you could be dealing with someone who doesn't have the inner strength to look at their shadows, but maybe you're lacking the inner strength to choose yourself, right? Okay, that's very specific. I'm going to read something to you. Nope, it's this way. And you know, everything I know about the twin flame journey, twin flames come together as wounded souls, okay? Fragmentation of the soul, significant trauma from their past. So you come together on the same frequency, wounded, magnetic attraction, and then all of these wounds, some that you don't even know you had, start to get activated. So I feel like you and this person both have significant trauma from your childhood or your past, which could be why you struggle to walk away or to put up boundaries. Could be why this person is so defensive. Oh my gosh. Spirit's giving me a very specific shadow to read to you, a wound. Shadow work. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is what I mean. Like, I feel this is what happens to us when we don't heal our wounds, right? The trauma wasn't our fault, but it's our responsibility to heal it. And, you know, maybe you understand this, right? Because you're in the divine feminine role, not talking about gender. So you probably understand wounding and shadow work, or you're learning about it. I feel like the person you're connected to is unaware of it, or they don't see it. They're not conscious of how they act from a shadowy place. And maybe you're not conscious of some of the ways you act from a shadowy place or a wounded place, like being afraid to speak, being afraid to put up boundaries. Shadow work is the process of facing the parts of yourself you were taught to hide. The anger, the fear, the jealousy, the wounds buried so deep that they shape your life from the shadows. This wound convinces you that these hidden aspects are shameful, that to be loved and accepted, you must deny them or suppress them. It manifests as self-rejection, cycles of avoidance, or patterns that you repeat despite your best efforts to repeat change. That is exactly what I'm picking up on here. Patterns that repeat despite your best efforts to change. Think about the clock. This is your time, right? This is your time to change. And maybe you've been trying to change this situation. Avoidance, you could be dealing with someone who avoids looking at their shadows, right? Like I'm getting counterpart energy. Where was I? You may find yourself triggered by others. So like that's what I try to explain to people is that if you're feeling triggered by someone else, it's because they're triggering something unhealed within you. Our triggers are the key to our healing. And there's no shame in being triggered. It's reminding me of that post that I made last night. Like, you can be triggered by someone. You don't have to suppress that energy that you feel triggered, but you aren't supposed to hurt others when you're feeling triggered. You aren't supposed to react and be hurtful towards others. So you may be triggered by others, unaware that what frustrates you in them is a reflection of something unresolved within yourself. You know, happy people used to trigger the fuck out of me. Confident people used to trigger me, and I'd be jealous. And the whole time it was reflecting back to me what I needed to work on. Happy people reflected back onto me that I had that happiness within me, but I wasn't in that energy of happiness. I was lacking happiness and fulfillment in my life. Right? Confident, attractive people used to trigger me because I had no confidence and I didn't think highly of myself. Light workers trigger people. Your light triggers people. Just like your energy would have triggered this person. And you know, maybe you both had these triggers, right? The shadow is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Exactly. In the darkness is where you discover your light, right? And the trigger is the key to what you need to heal. But we've been programmed to feel shame. We've been programmed to feel if someone's triggering me, it's their fault. It's something they're doing. Healing through shadow work requires the courage to look inward, the inner strength to look within, to face those shadows, to confront them, to heal them, to sit with the discomfort rather than run from it. Your darkness is not a flaw. Exactly. I always say, your trauma, your shadows don't define you. Why do I feel like I'm talking to your person? Your darkness is not a flaw. It is the doorway to self-understanding, a map to the places that need healing. When you stop fearing your shadow and start integrating it, you become whole. You do not heal by rejecting parts of yourself. You heal by embracing them. The more you accept the fullness of who you are, the less power your wounds have over you. And in that integration, you discover a truth far greater than you fear. You were never broken to begin with. Exactly. Fragmentation of the soul. You're not broken. And what's interesting, I was just explaining this in a personal reading, but all of these wounds connect to other wounds. So it ends up being like a blueprint. I drew a little thing for this person where I believe, just my belief, I believe, let me find the page. So I believe that these wounds stem from a core wound. And to me, that core wound is coming from like parental wounding, which causes a wound of, like, this is just an example, but if you have a mother wound, had a mother that neglected you, then you have a neglect wound. And a neglect wound can be connected or feed a fear of abandonment, overgiving, people-pleasing, lack of boundaries. It's like layers of an onion. Like we were talking about this the other day. So you peel back a layer. Okay, I have this wound. You peel it back, and then you discover there's another layer, that wound caused this wound, and then this wound caused that wound. They're all, like, if you read this book, I don't sell this book, I promise. But all of these wounds connect to other wounds, and it's like kind of following, you need to follow the wounds. Anyway, I just, like I said, I was hearing lack of boundaries, fear of abandonment, attachment wounds, mother and father wounds, and it's completely different. It makes it completely different how we show up. No, that's not what I meant to say. You could both, you and this person could both have the same wound, but act in completely different ways, right? From this wound. For example, wound of neglect, right? Feeling unseen, feeling neglected as a child, not having your needs met. That could make you, it could affect you in a sense. I'm just looking at the divine feminine energy, right? So it could affect you in a sense where any type of inconsistency, hot and cold energy, withdrawal triggers that neglect wound, causing you to like chase or overgive or people please. This person could have the exact same neglect wound, but it affects them in a way that when they feel love, when they feel attention, when they feel seen, it makes them run. And again, all of these wounds connect to other wounds. Where was I? Shadow work. When you stop fearing your shadow and you start integrating it, you become whole. You do not heal by rejecting parts of yourself. You heal by embracing them. The more you accept the fullness of who you are, the less power your wounds have over you. And in that integration, you discover a truth far greater than fear. You were never broken to begin with. Oh, I already read that. So, a deep resistance to acknowledging, integrating, or healing the hidden aspects of oneself, often stemming from shame, fear, or avoidance of painful truths. This wound manifests as suppressed emotions, unconscious self-sabotage, right? You know, again, I'm not here to just read the cards. tarot is a tool, right? I'm a healer. I'm not just a tarot reader. I'm a healer, which is why I talk about healing. What was I going to say? So, programmed thinking, right? We are programmed to believe that if someone is mean to us, it's our fault. We must have done something wrong. Don't do that again. We're programmed to internalize it. If someone acts from a triggered place or self-sabotages, we're programmed to villainize them. That person's just a jerk. That person's just a bad person, right? There are things that happen unconsciously where we self-sabotage. For example, unconsciously chasing someone. Unconsciously creating chaos if we're not used to stability. Unconsciously running when we feel intimacy. Or projecting unhealed wounds onto others. Some may struggle with facing their inner darkness, fearing that confronting their shadow will confirm their worst beliefs about themselves. Others may experience intense emotional triggers, unaware that these reactions are invitations for deeper self-inquiry. There may be an internalized belief that certain emotions, anger, jealousy, resentment, are unacceptable, leading to repression rather than transformation. Emotionally, this wound can create cycles of avoidance, guilt, or extreme self-judgment. Physically, it may manifest as tension in the shoulders, headaches, digestive issues. Over time, an unaddressed shadow work wound can lead to stagnation, emotional numbness, or repeating unhealthy patterns without understanding their root cause. Watch for patterns of avoiding introspection, projecting onto others, or struggling with self-acceptance. You know, I started sending the videos where I read about these wounds to my partner, and it's like, that maybe wasn't a good idea because now he calls me out. You know, the other day I was on bed rest. I was feeling depressed, which is like, that used to be me all the time. But I was really feeling like a lack of control. I was feeling, again, like not being able to do anything can be very depressing. And I came downstairs and I can't remember what I said to him, but I was clearly like, it wasn't an argument or anything. But I don't know what I said to him, but I said, oh, I know what I said. I said, oh, I was in such a state. I was like mopey. And I said, I get this feeling that, you know, taking care of me is too much, or you're starting to resent me for it. And he looked at me and he said, that's your wound talking. That's your wound talking. He said, I just heard you talk about that in that video. where you're feeling bad because you need help and you have a hard time accepting help and you feel like you need to do everything yourself. So you're feeling your wound. And he was like, I don't mind taking care of you. And I felt like, dang it. You just called me right out. But that's just an example of how we project our wounds onto others, right? Anyway, this energy that I'm feeling right now is very intense. So look at this. We have longing and move on. So what I feel like I'm seeing happening here is that I've got like a wounded feminine and a wounded masculine who long to be together, but also repel each other at the same time, energetically, trigger each other. Maybe there's some like wondering if it's time to move on and leave this in the past. Let's get some tarot. You know, you could have, clearly there's wounding here, right? And you could have really internalized what this person was projecting outward and vice versa. But the main thing that I'm kind of picking up on is that I think there's a need for you both to do shadow work. I think that it's, I'm kind of hearing it's more so, I get the sense that you are already doing it, but that maybe you were hoping that you could do it with this person, but this person's wall goes right up. And like I said, I was getting the strong energy that you could have a hard time walking away, or you could be having a hard time putting up a boundary or speaking up. So let's see what tarot shows us. Page of Pentacles. So you could have just been kind of seeing how this goes, right? Letting it play out. King of Cups. King of Cups. Somebody could be putting in very low effort. Someone could be emotionally manipulative. Again, probably not conscious of it. Deep love, King of Cups. Three of Pentacles. It feels like, first of all, the Three of Pentacles can talk about mediation, a counselor. But it's like you two are unable to work as a team right now, as much as you love each other. Somebody's out in the snow. The Emperor. Oh, dear. Divine Masculine. All right. All right. Pretty clear. Divine Feminine, not talking about gender. Connecting with the Divine Masculine. Although I don't think either of you are truly in that divine energy yet. I think that there's a lot of wounded energy here. You know, a divine feminine can put up boundaries. A divine feminine doesn't allow toxic, unhealthy, conscious or not, energy in their energy, trusts their intuition. And I am getting the very strong feeling that you're still energetically connected to this person. I mean, in the 3D. So we've got the Emperor on the bottom, right? Divine masculine. And I said, I feel like you're dealing with a wounded masculine. Aggressive, defensive, argumentative, maybe focuses on work more, doesn't prioritize love, stubborn, acts from a place of ego, like fear of looking at the shadows, is what I was hearing. Then you've got the Nine of Cups, which is about wish fulfillment. So I feel like you see this divine masculine as your wish fulfillment, right? The Nine of Cups is an interesting one because it is about wish fulfillment, but 9 is also an energy of independence, and it's about finding fulfillment from within, not outside of ourselves. So you could feel, and I'm not here to judge you, it's part of the journey. You could feel like this divine masculine is your wish fulfillment, that it's all you want is to be with your divine masculine, to be in union, right? So much that there's a fear of abandonment here, a fear of rejection being triggered. So when you have a fear of abandonment, you stay in unhealthy situations too long. You have a fear of putting up boundaries. Again, the fear of abandonment wound, I'm not going to read it. I have a playlist about these wounds that I'm working on. You can find it in there: abandonment, attachment, codependency. So when you have an abandonment wound, I was talking about how there's a pathway through all these wounds, right? When you have an abandonment wound, it unconsciously, maybe you are conscious of it, if you're seeing this masculine as your wish fulfillment, right? I'll be happy when I'm in happy union. And you have a fear of abandonment, that would mean that you would put up with less than you deserve. You would overextend yourself. You would people please. You would stay small. You'd have a hard time putting up boundaries. You'd choose them over your own health, right? Like you choose them over yourself. Like think about it. If you were given the choice, like think about being on an airplane, okay? The masks fall. Whose mask are you putting on first? Because the energy that I'm picking up on, you would put this person's mask on first. Like you would risk yourself to put on their mask first. The other side of the coin of an abandonment wound. This person could struggle with fear of getting close, fear of intimacy. They could struggle with sabotaging the connection before they could be abandoned unconsciously. All right, let's just get it. Your energy. All right. So we've got, interesting. We've got the Three of Cups, your energy. We've got the Empress in reverse. We've got Page of Wands. We've got Hanged Man energy. And we've got Justice in reverse. You are being treated unfairly. Three of Cups. You're giving to this. You're giving energy to this. Three of Cups. You know, maybe you're trying to stay as friendly as possible so you don't trigger them, right? Empress in reverse. Wounded feminine energy. Lacking confidence. Lacking belief in your intuition. Page of Wands. You're feeling inspired about something, and it's about to withdraw. So like, I feel like your intuition is telling you, now I'm hearing, should I stay or should I go? Like that song. And we had that card, longing, move on. So it feels like right now your intuition is telling you to pull your energy back. Your intuition is telling you that you're being treated unfairly, that this person is maybe not being honest with you, that there's a lack of balance in the energy, so you're probably overgiving. And what's worse is they are blaming you for it. Projection. There's a reason Spirit told me to pull that specific wound out. I don't even think I've ever read that wound to you guys. So this person's wounds are being projected all over you. You're being blamed unfairly. There's an injustice here. So I don't mean to yell. I'm not trying to yell. I just get really passionate. So what I'm seeing is your intuition is trying to tell you, like, you're gambling. You're taking a risk here that this person probably needs, help with some of their woundings. That's not your responsibility. Actually, when it comes to healing, we're actually not supposed to heal the people closest to us because we're biased, right? When you go to a healer, when you go to a therapist, you need someone who's unbiased, who won't sugarcoat it, who won't coddle you, right? Like I'm actually thinking about your person, but if this person went to their friends and said, do you think I'm defensive? Do you think I'm aggressive? Their friends would probably be like, no, you're not. No, you're not defensive. Maybe to keep from, now my ears are ringing. I feel like they would say that because maybe they're very similar, or maybe they're afraid to tell this person they're defensive, right? When we go to people close to us for advice and help, sometimes we get biased advice and help. That's why when you truly heal, you should be healing with someone who doesn't feel like they have to coddle you, someone who can be very honest with you. And I think that's what I see here. And maybe you could benefit from it too, because I am a huge advocate for healing, and if you can't afford therapy, there are so many ways, there's so much information out there that you can work on healing. And self-awareness is the first step. Like, again, I do not get a commission from this book. I trust this book. It's why I use it. And so many of you have bought it. This book is life-changing because it describes all the wounds and there's no shame in it, right? But anyway, I feel you're feeling inspired to pull back your energy, but there's this fear of abandonment being triggered. What if I'm making a mistake? What if I'm expecting too much? And it's like you're trying to be friendly with this person. Maybe you have very surface level communication or friendly chit chat, but it's like I don't think you can hear your intuition right now. Or maybe you don't trust your intuition because wounded feminine doesn't trust their intuition. Let's get their energy. The moon. Fear, uncertainty, confusion. And again, your intuition is trying to reach you, but you can't hear it. Wounds, shadows being triggered. Queen of Swords, boundaries. Like that, again, I feel like your intuition, I don't think you can hear your intuition or you don't trust it. And like that Queen of Swords, that's about standing in your power and putting up boundaries. That's it. I'm going to read it, Spirit. I'm going to read it. I think Moon, fear, uncertainty, Queen of Swords, about putting up boundaries. I think you have a fear of putting up boundaries. Is that lack of boundaries? Yes. When you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce, right? So it's like, if you continue to give to this, you're teaching this person, they're allowed to do this to you. They're allowed to blame you. They're allowed to like be dishonest. They're allowed to be defensive with you. And that's where empaths can really struggle. Or distorted feminines. I kind of believe that divine feminines are all empaths anyway. But it's like what I talk about when it's almost like enabling that behavior because you continue to feed it, right? The lack of boundaries wound convinces you that love and acceptance must be earned through self-sacrifice. It teaches you to say yes when you want to say no, to absorb others' emotions and reactions and projections as your own, and to prioritize keeping the peace over protecting your own well-being. Queen of Swords, like that's what I'm talking about. This wound often stems from past experiences where your needs were dismissed, your limits were ignored, or where saying no led to rejection or punishment. Over time, you may have learned that your worth is tied to how much you give, how much you tolerate, or how little space you take up. But a life without boundaries is not love, it is self-abandonment. And I brought up that situation on the plane. Would you abandon yourself to put their mask on first? If you say yes, maybe you think there's some nobility in that or whatever, it makes you noble, whatever the words are, I don't know. I completely understand that. I used to believe, no, I'm going to put on somebody else's mask before my own. It shows a wound. Healing this wound requires reclaiming your right to protect your energy, your time, and your emotional space. Boundaries are not selfish. They are acts of self-respect, the invisible lines that tell the world, I am worthy of care, of consideration, of being heard. The moment you start enforcing your limits without guilt, you stop teaching others that you are willing to be walked over. True connection does not require you to abandon yourself. It requires you to stand firmly in who you are, knowing that real love will never ask you to break yourself to be worthy of it. A deeply ingrained difficulty in defining, asserting, or maintaining personal limits, often stemming from early experiences of neglect. So, lack of boundaries connects to the fear of abandonment wound and the neglect wound. You see what I mean? Enmeshment or conditional love. This wound manifests as people-pleasing, overextending oneself, or struggling to say no, even at the expense of one's own well-being. There may be an internalized belief that setting boundaries is selfish, unkind, or will lead to rejection, causing some to tolerate unhealthy relationships, overcommit, or suppress personal needs to avoid conflict. Some may struggle with distinguishing their own emotions from those of others, feeling overly responsible for other people's happiness or discomfort, or reactions or projections. Emotionally, this wound can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and difficulty forming truly reciprocal connections. Physically, it may manifest as chronic fatigue, tension in the throat, blocked throat chakra, or digestive issues. Over time, a lack of boundaries can result in burnout, an erosion of self, and relationships that feel one-sided or draining. Watch for patterns of avoiding confrontation, feeling guilty when prioritizing yourself, or attracting individuals who take advantage of your kindness. I did a reading like this a few weeks ago, actually. A blocked throat chakra, suppressing your voice, leaving you feel unheard, misunderstood, or afraid to express your truth. It convinces you that speaking up is dangerous, that your words don't matter, and that silence is safer. Remember how silent I got at the beginning of this reading? And you know, I understand these wounds. This wound often stems from past experiences where your voice was dismissed, ridiculed, or punished. It manifests as difficulty expressing emotions, fear of confrontation, chronic throat tension, the habit of swallowing your feelings to avoid conflict. You may struggle to ask for what you need, downplay your truth to keep the peace, or always feel like you are censoring yourself. Blocked throat chakra, affecting communication and the ability to speak your truth, Queen of Swords, often caused by fear of judgment, past invalidation, or suppression of personal voice. This wound manifests as difficulty expressing thoughts and emotions, fear of confrontation, or feeling unheard and misunderstood. Some may struggle with speaking up in relationships, holding back opinions or desires due to fear of rejection or conflict. That's exactly what I'm seeing here. Others may feel pressured to filter or alter their words to please others. There may be an internalized belief that their voice doesn't matter or that expressing emotions leads to negative consequences. Emotionally, this wound can create cycles of silence, resentment, or over-explaining to feel heard. Put down your phone. Stop writing that 6-page explanation trying to reason with this person. It may manifest as chronic throat tension, sore throats, jaw clenching, or thyroid imbalances. It can result in passive communication, difficulty setting boundaries, or a fear of speaking up. Watch for patterns of withholding thoughts, struggling to find the right words, or feeling emotionally suffocated by unspoken truths. So, So, just hear me out. As a child, were you ever punished for expressing your truth? Were your feelings ever dismissed? Did you tell this person that you felt hurt? And how did they react? Defense mechanism? Blaming you unfairly? I understand this energy. I said it in the other reading I did like this. I've been this energy. Stemmed from a father wound where I was never allowed to speak about how I felt. My emotions were dismissed. Mr. Crow is outside. Protection. It's time to protect your energy. Message from Spirit, the crow, spiritual messenger. Protection. I really get the feeling that it wouldn't matter how you said it, you'd still get that defense mechanism. And again, one of the lessons of the divine feminine. Right now, the Empress is in reverse, but one of the lessons is not allowing that kind of energy in your energy, putting up boundaries, and releasing control. And again, that counseling thing is maybe something you're exploring, maybe something you suggested to this person, or that this person needs. Okay, take a deep breath. It's all right. So, let's talk about setting boundaries. From what I'm seeing here, if you tried to set a boundary, you'd get this shield. You'd get the like brick wall. And that would be a message that you needed that boundary there. Because right now, Spirit wants you to protect your energy. Because you're being treated unfairly here. And you're being blamed unfairly. And some people, you know, once you learn about healing and things like that and you start to heal, you can see when you're being blamed unfairly. But for someone who's not conscious of it, that can really mess you up, right? It's like your parents blaming you for something, like, you ruined Christmas, right? And you internalize that. So if you're doubting it, if you feel like you're being blamed unfairly, okay, listen, my big sister, Queen of Swords energy is coming out. You know, divine feminines, I'm speaking to you. The Empress is the embodiment of all the queens. And for me, the Queen of Swords was the hardest lesson there was. It was the hardest energy for me to stand in. You know? It's one of the last lessons you go through before you elevate into that Empress. And that's the energy that I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling this Queen of Swords energy. Like the way that I'm speaking to you, I'm being very like straight with it. honest about the fact that you need to put up boundaries, that you need to find your strength, know your worth, that you are being blamed unfairly. I'm going to look at their energy. Ten of Swords, pain. Pain, lessons to be learned. King of Wands, acting from a very wounded place. So King of Wands energy, you'd be getting someone very full of ego, right? Very fiery, very like, look at that. It's like that. Ten of Swords, there's a need for lessons to be learned here. If this was in reverse, I would be like, oh, good. Oh, good. They're learning their lessons. This is someone who hasn't started to integrate these lessons. So they're acting from a very wounded place, a very painful place. Doesn't excuse the behavior, right? Oh my gosh, it's the Knight of Swords. Very aggressive, very impulsive, very reactive, very triggering, very much in their head, right? Ego. That is very reactive energy right there. Living, acting, reacting from their wounds. Wounds that you did not cause. Just like they probably triggered if they were being inconsistent or you felt like you were being neglected or any of those things. They didn't cause those wounds, but the hurt you felt from them stemmed from a deeper wound. And this is counterpart energy. You trigger the deeper wounds that have happened way in your past, brings them up to the surface. So like I said, right now you're dealing with someone very impulsive, very reactive, lacking emotions, maybe lacking empathy, hurtful words, aggressiveness, defensive, fear of intimacy. Someone who's in a lot of pain. And they need to heal. I just heard, because I read my tarot differently, right? Every tarot reader is different. We all have our own ways of reading. Sometimes the bottom of the deck is what they're not seeing, right? That there's a need to heal this. But again, it's kind of like they're just blaming you. I'm going to get another one for their energy. So we've definitely got some cycles happening in their energy. We've got 10-10. So there's repetitive patterns, repetitive cycles, very overwhelmed, very overburdened, feels very heavy, lots of baggage, lots of baggage. Judgment, what they don't see. What they don't see, what's happening here. This is what they're not seeing. That this is a wake-up call for them. That they have self-evaluation to do rather than projecting it outwards and blaming you. The Ten of Wands, like, they have a wall around them, an energetic wall that they've built. Not intentionally, but it's very symbolic of this person carries around baggage from childhood. So whenever Ten of Swords is about integrating a lesson. So anytime we have a connection, whatever kind of connection it is, and we don't integrate that lesson and heal it, we carry it with us. You know, when I started therapy, my doctor used, and that's how I see the Ten of Wands. It's like you've been carrying around all of these suitcases your whole life, full of trauma, full of wounding. It's time to put them all down, zip them open, and let's get rid of that baggage. Let's heal it. So you're dealing with someone who has built walls around them because of the baggage they carry around, the unhealed parts of them. It weighs them down. It keeps them stuck. It keeps them stagnant. Acting, living, reacting from those wounds, from that baggage. And again, they're being called to go within and self-evaluate. Does this person judge others? Have you ever seen them judge others? There is really a need for them to self-evaluate. All right. I don't even know what to do here. I'm going to ask, without all the armor, without all the defensiveness, the walls they've put around them, the pain, how do they truly feel about you in their heart space, underneath all this heaviness? Okay, we've got the Nine of Wands. Sorry, I had to count the Nine of Wands. I'm still learning how to read Roman numerals, numbers, whatever. Nine of Wands. So, they feel like this love is not easy, that it takes work. Why is that, do you ask? I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't think they know what's wrong with them, if I'm being honest. So they see this as a connection that is hard work. It's triggering. It's not easy because counterpart connection, it's meant to trigger you so that you can heal those wounds and become conscious of these things, right? To transform into your higher self. In their heart space, how are they feeling about you? Temperance. So they want balance. They want harmony. In the depths of their heart, there's regret here for the imbalance. You know, they feel like you have a very healing energy, that you have been patient. Again, this is when we strip away the ego. I don't even know if they're conscious of this, but in their heart space, underneath all the armor, they do feel like you've been patient and that they would like harmony with you. There's regret, Five of Cups. So there's regret for their actions. I just don't know if they've realized it yet. The Five of Cups is also about past wounds. So there could be regret for how circumstances in their past got in the way of this connection. We have the King of Cups. So there is intense love there. underneath the armor. But their armor is in control right now. Their ego is in control. Their pain is in control. What's blocking them? I mean, Spirit just laughed at me when I said that. What's blocking them? 7 of Cups. Seven of Cups for what's blocking them. They're not seeing the situation clearly. You know, 7 of Cups is about illusions. I feel like this person's view on this is distorted. Like they're not seeing it clearly. They're seeing it from a distorted energy, like the distorted masculine that I keep picking up on. So how they're viewing it, it's like the view of that distorted masculine. So they're seeing it not correctly. It's making me think of that 7 of Swords card from that Broken Heart Tarot where it says, the universe knows. It's like they're looking at this through a bunch of glasses. Like if you remember that there used to be a drunk driving commercial where they would put a glass on the dash and then another one and how it impaired your sight. That's what's happening here. Their view of this is very distorted. Possibly yours is too. And no, I do not mean that you are delusional or that you're imagining the twin flame connection. But because of the energy that I'm seeing here, you could be thinking that you're the problem. The only problem that I see is that you're not choosing yourself. 7 of Wands, defensiveness. Very defensive. 2 sevens, interesting. Weird. Why do the major arcanas have actual numbers and the other ones don't? Normal number? Roman numeral number. That doesn't make sense to me. What is your advice? Spirit? I don't know. I'm seeing a Band-Aid being ripped off. Spirit, I want clear, concise advice for this person. Clear, concise advice. 6 of Pentacles. If it isn't reciprocal, stop giving to it. 6 of Pentacles. That's about balance. That's about reciprocity. If you don't feel like it's reciprocal, it's time to step away and to focus on things that reciprocate your energy. Because again, that shadow thing talked about, or no, the boundary one talked about what we allow is how we tell the world how to treat us. The 6 of Pentacles can also be about getting help. You know, so for some of you, there could be wounding that's been caused, like it could have triggered past wounding. It could have caused additional wounding on top of that, being in this connection, counseling. This is a message that you can't, excuse me, you can't sacrifice yourself in order to help this person. Like, I honestly think there's a major message here. It's either who you're dealing with or it's both of you need some sort of like counseling or a mediator to help you in this situation. Not together. I think that you're a giver. You're a healer. 6 of Pentacles. I think that you want to help this person. But this person needs someone who they don't know to help them to see this more clearly. One more. So like start, oh dear. Ta-da! Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Queen of Swords. What did I say? Boundaries. It's time to put up boundaries. It's time to protect your energy. Can't make it up. If it's not reciprocal, if it's hurting you, it's time to speak your truth and put up boundaries. I was planning on talking about this when I read the lack of boundaries wound. Maybe I should mention it now. I'm just going to be honest. When you put up a boundary, you've got this person not seeing things clearly, highly defensive, deep wounding, acting from a place of pain. I can almost guarantee that when you put up a boundary with this person, they're going to push back, or they're going to get angry, or they're going to maybe not respect your boundary, or they might just disappear. And again, that's not a reflection of your worth, your value, your boundary. It's a reflection of them and how they are clearly not in a healthy space to be around you. Because again, boundaries are meant to keep us safe. And anyone who feels like those boundaries are too much are not healthy to be in our energy. And that goes, like, maybe you struggle to set boundaries, not just with this person, but in your life. No communication, sword down. Spirit doesn't get much clearer than that, right? I knew that was going to come out. It's scary to put up boundaries, especially when your fear is that when you put them up, that person will leave. But it empowers you to put that boundary up. Might not feel like it at first. It might be really painful. It might be very emotional. Your wound of abandonment might get ripped open if they disappear. But it's by setting healthy boundaries that you heal that wound of lack of boundaries. Just like the way you heal if you always find yourself in unbalanced connections. How do you heal that? You stop giving to unbalanced connections. You may start to find yourself, after you put up this boundary, encountering other areas in your life where you're feeling called to put up a healthy boundary. Okay. One more card of advice for you. We've got the Four of Cups. So you see this person as your person, your wish fulfillment, right? This feels very confronting, or like, I don't know why it feels confronting. But Spirit is saying, are you happy? Is your cup being filled? Are you happy? Or do you feel like you're being taken for granted? Do you feel unfulfilled in the current situation? If so, time to put up boundaries. Like if you're not feeling happy, if you're not feeling... We've got the Two of Pentacles here. So this is kind of like you could be going through cognitive dissonance, especially when someone blames you or is inconsistent. So you could have a lot of mental confusion. Cognitive dissonance, another wound in that book, where something is just not adding up and you feel like you're confused. So again, this Two of Pentacles, is it consistent? Is it stable? Is it fulfilling? Or are you having a difficult time? Are you sad? Do you feel taken for granted? Do you feel like there's an imbalance? Because if you feel like it's not going the way you want it to be going, if you're feeling unhappy, if you're feeling like this person just doesn't notice the effort that you're putting in, right? The love that you're pouring into this, it feels inconsistent, unbalanced, then it's definitely time to put up that boundary. It's time to choose you. And if you do resonate with being a counterpart, this is one of your lessons. It's time to focus on you. One more. What advice do you need right now? What should you be focusing on? The Sun. Fulfillment. Right? It's time to get out of this like energy where you feel left out in the cold, you feel ignored, you feel that fear of rejection. It's time to heal. The Sun. Step into the light. Look at your shadows, right? Heal. Choose things that fulfill you. Because with the Four of Cups, I don't feel like you're happy with how this is playing out. It's time to choose yourself. It's time to stop feeling left out in the cold, and it's time to focus on your self-love, Queen of Cups. Protect your energy. Focus on self-love, focus on your healing. What advice do you need about this person? Okay. This is what you need to know about this person. You cannot control this person's healing journey. And the Wheel of Fortune, what's happening now is fated. This cycle needs to come to an end. You can't make them change or go within in this hermit energy. And before this person will be ready to meet you in a healthy way, there's change and adjustments that need to happen in their life, including self-reflection, self-introspection, looking at their shadows, healing those wounds. The universe is in control here. Unfortunately, you can't control that. High Priestess. Silent and guarded. Divine feminine energy. What is your advice? I think this person has a lot of like programming, conditioning, lifelong ingrained behaviors, I'm hearing. But until they make change, until they go within, silent and guarded, High Priestess. Trust your intuition. Your intuition is right about this person, but there's more work they need to do. Someone asked yesterday, how am I supposed to know if they changed if I ignore them? Don't ignore them, right? You can tell if they've changed by the way they reach out to you. If it's like a, hi, that's not enough, right? If they reach out with a very small message, it's probably not the right time. I'm explaining this because somebody asked, and I find it easier to explain through speaking than with texting. I'm getting old. No, I'm just kidding. The other thing you can do is you can embody the High Priestess or the Seven of Wands. So you can respond to them, but protect your heart space. Protect your energy. Keep them at an arm's distance, right? And usually when that change happens, they come in very differently. So sometimes it starts small, testing the waters, and then you can surface level conversation, see if they've changed. Other times you can see that they've changed by the first message they send, because it's long, they take accountability, there's honesty. When you get like a hi, just be on guard. You know, some people wouldn't respond to that. You don't have to respond to it. You know, I don't think, I'm not saying that you should ignore them, but it is about protecting your energy. All right. Oh my gosh. I had no idea that reading was, I don't even know how long I've been recording. That is not what I was expecting when I sat down. Like I said, I almost thought for some reason I thought that, I don't know why, I thought it was going to be like a very different type of reading. And then the moment I sat down and started meditating, I was feeling that phoenix. So it's almost like, you keep getting burned and burned and burned and burned and burned. And there's a need to phoenix out of it. All right. I hope this found the person it needed to find. I know how jarring a message like this can be. So, be gentle with yourself. You don't have to do what Spirit is telling you to do, right? But somebody needed to hear this. And it might not feel like it at first, But eventually you will feel more empowered and you will be able to see this more clearly. And looking back, you will see, once your mind becomes clear again, you are gonna look, I turn the light on, like instinctively. Once your mind becomes clear, you're gonna have clarity. Things are gonna make more sense. Anyway, whoever you are strong enough to do this. Even if you put up that boundary and they go silent, just remind yourself that is not a reflection of your worth. It is confirmation that they weren't healthy enough to be in your energy right now. All right, my beautiful friend, whoever you are, I believe in you. You've got this. Embody that Queen of Swords, because guess what? Eventually that Queen of Swords is going to come out whether you want it to or not, right? I was talking about Queen of Swords energy with someone recently in a reading, and it can be hard to step into that energy, the Queen of Swords, like very authentic, very truthful, clear about like putting up a boundary. But like I was feeling like I was on fire, right? The more you burn yourself, the more hurt you get. Eventually that Queen of Swords is going to step in for you. And it almost feels like your higher self kind of comes in and defends you or takes control of the situation. Anyway, hard lesson, that Queen of Swords. I am sending you lots of love and light, my friend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.